Adaptive subs is one of the best features that Morphman has, and yet I've never seen anybody actually talk about it or use it except myself. Why adaptive subs is useful is because it uses everything you know in Anki and Morphman and hides sentences in subtitle files that you already know or at least have seen. In other words, more or less, adaptive subs gets rid of all I+0 sentences from your subtitle files. This is really useful because why should you have sentences that are not I+1? You're wasting your time on those sentences. And so adaptive subs gets rid of all of them for you based on everything you know inside of Anki. So I'll show you two examples. After I ran my subtitle files for The Promised Neverland through adaptive subs and got rid of all sentences that are I+0, what remained was 2 hours of dialogue, all of sentences that were at the very least I+1 or higher. So that's pretty efficient, and I also did it for Terrace House. So I have, 32 hours. I probably should have split this into separate MP3s, but 32 hours of I+1 or higher dialogue, no I+0 sentences. And so I'm pretty sure Matt couldn't get it to work because the old documentation doesn't have updated variables and whatnot. But that's okay, I'm going to show you how to use it and it's going to be great. There's two things you need to keep in mind when getting started with adaptive subs. One is that you must have dual subtitle files. What a dual subtitle file is essentially what people like to do is have the Japanese in the first line and the English on the second line, or right under it, for example, so that they can see them right next to each other. This is kind of impractical and not what we really care about, but since Morphman requires you to have dual subtitle files, the way I'm going to show you how to get around this is just by using subs to SRS dueling subtitles. Just select your Japanese subtitles and then just select the Japanese subtitles again, because that'll just create what I showed you right over here, where it duplicates each line, which is kind of weird, but everything will be fixed once you use it in Morphman. So you create your dual subtitle files. Once you've created all the subtitles that you want and you're all set, so I have all these right here, then you're ready to move on. One other thing you might want to keep in mind is that this is not going to be that effective for you if you don't know a lot of Japanese, or at the very least don't have a lot of your Japanese knowledge contained within Morphman. Because adaptive subs remove sentences based on your K value, which represents the amount of knowledge you know in Japanese, if you have a low K value, there aren't going to be that many sentences that get removed, and so you're kind of wasting your time. To get to adaptive subs, you go to Tools, Morphman Database Manager, and Adaptive Subs. I'm not going to go into too much detail as to how these specifications work, although you can read more about it on this documentation page, just knowing that target is what replaces Japan and native is what replaces English. So the reason why this setup is best is because when you run a subtitle file through it now, all sentences that contain only mature morphs will be deleted, whereas a sentence that contains at least one known morph or at least one unknown morph will stay in the subtitle file. That way, you won't be wasting your time with subtitle lines of a sentence you can already fully understand and read. That's just not productive, and it's not I+1, so you shouldn't be wasting your time on it. Or it's not I+1 or higher, so you shouldn't be wasting your time on it. So once you have this set up, you just run it through adaptive subs, and it's pretty fast. And so this is what we originally had, right? The dual subtitle files where there were duplicate lines just because that's how Morphman processes them. Then you have what we just ran through adaptive subs. You can see, well, first it got rid of the duplicate lines, but also you can see these blank lines that exist. That's because these blank lines are where I+0 sentences originally were. If you go to the original subs, you can see if you line the subs side by side. So you can see here, there's nothing in this sentence that I can learn because I already know everything in this sentence. So it's been completely blanked out in the adaptive subs version. There are two ways this adaptive subs is really useful and that I recommend you use it. If you have the subtitle file as well as the video, then when you're actually watching the show, so I don't know something in this line. I don't know something in this line either, so it's showing it to me. But now there's no sub showing because I already know whatever Norman just said in that line, so I don't need it. So that's where it's useful there. You don't see subtitles for sentences you already understand, but it's also useful if you want to run this subtitle file through subs to SRS. If you run this subtitle file through subs to SRS, it's still going to generate the audio for every single sentence in the show. And the reason why is because even though adaptive subs deleted the sentence from this line in the subtitle file, this timestamp is still existing inside the file. And so we need to get rid of these blank lines so that when we run this subtitle file through subs to SRS, it still won't generate the audio for this part. It should skip this part. The way you want to do that is by going to subtitle, select lines, and typing this in and checking regular expression match, and then press OK. It'll select all the lines that are completely blank, or in other words, that Adaptive Subs deleted, and then you can delete them, and then your subtitle file is set. The downside is you have to do this for every single subtitle file, but I'm in the works right now of making something that automates this whole process of going through every single subtitle file and deleting the blank lines that were created. So for now, you'll just have to deal with it, but I'd say it's worth it. So once you're in subs or SRS, you can select all of the subtitle files that you created with Adaptive Subs. Since we only want audio, you don't need snapshots, so you can uncheck that. And so this part takes a while because it has to generate the 2,300 audio files, but it's all worth it, especially because there would have been a lot more audio files if you hadn't run these subtitle files through Adaptive Subs. Once Subs SRS finishes generating all of your MP3 files, you're essentially done and can drag all of these into your MP3 player, but I like to take it one step further and combine all of these mini MP3 files into one giant combined MP3 file. So if you're not on Windows, I would just recommend using a website that does it for you. But if you're on Windows, a really fast way to do this is by going to the command prompt, typing cd, and then the directory that your files are in. Press enter. So once you're in that directory, you type copy /b star.mp3, and then you name your combined file. And it'll create one gigantic MP3 file. Well, not gigantic, but episode long.
何？もんだよ。中と外をつなぐもの。外か。一度も行ったことないね。そういえばママ言ってたよね。